The Reflection's Curse. In the secluded town of Ravenswood, a group of adventurous teenagers gathered on a moonless night in a derelict mansion known as the Blackthorn Estate. Among them were Sarah, Alex, Jenna, and Mike, thrill-seekers eager to explore the supernatural. They whispered tales of Bloody Mary, a malevolent spirit rumored to emerge when her name was summoned thrice in front of a mirror. Ignoring the warnings of the locals, they prepared to play the chilling game. The mansion's walls echoed with their nervous laughter as they entered a dimly lit room adorned with a dusty, ornate mirror. Its cracked surface seemed to emanate an unsettling aura, but their excitement masked their unease. Ignoring the ominous vibes, they stood before the mirror and began the ritual. "Bloody Mary, Bloody Mary, Bloody Mary," they chanted, their voices trembling in the oppressive silence. At first, nothing happened, and they laughed off their fears. But as the third Bloody Mary escaped their lips, the mirror's surface rippled like a disturbed pond. An icy wind enveloped the room, and the atmosphere grew heavy with dread. Suddenly, the room plunged into darkness, and the door slammed shut behind them. Panic surged through their veins, and Jenna tried to pry open the door, but it resisted her efforts. "We need to get out of here," she exclaimed, her voice shaking. "We should have listened to the warnings," Alex said, his bravado fading. Before they could react further, the mirror's surface glowed, and an ethereal figure began to emerge. A shadowy silhouette with empty eyes and outstretched arms took form within the glass, like a trapped soul seeking escape. Fear consumed them as they realized that something malevolent had been awakened. Jenna tried to scream, but her voice caught in her throat. The figure within the mirror seemed to draw closer, its hollow gaze fixated on the teens. "Bloody Mary, why have you summoned me?" the figure whispered in a chilling, echoing voice. "We didn't mean to," Mike stuttered. "We were just playing a game." The figure remained silent for a moment, as if considering their plea. Then, with a sinister smile, it replied, "Playing games has consequences, children. You have unleashed my wrath." Their hearts pounded in their chests as the figure extended a bony hand toward the mirror's surface. To their horror, its hand passed through the glass like a specter stepping into the mortal realm. "No!" Sarah cried out, her eyes wide with terror. The figure's form began to solidify, its shadowy figure stepping out of the mirror and into the room. It moved with an unnatural grace, its ghostly presence towering over the terrified teens. "Your time in my domain has just begun," it hissed, its voice sending shivers down their spines. As the teens huddled together, trapped in the room with the vengeful spirit, they realized there was no escape. The mansion's walls seemed to close in around them, suffocating them in a claustrophobic nightmare. In a desperate attempt to reverse the summoning, they chanted Bloody Mary again and again, but it only seemed to fuel the spirit's malevolence. The figure laughed cruelly, its laughter echoing through the haunted mansion. "Your attempts are futile," it taunted. "You cannot undo what has been done." The mansion's eerie atmosphere seemed to intensify, and the air was filled with whispers and cold drafts. The teens felt an overwhelming sense of hopelessness, as if they were mere puppets in the hands of a malevolent force. One by one, the spirit reached out, touching their foreheads with its icy fingers. In that moment, they felt a surge of pain, as if their very souls were being drained away. The figure seemed to feed on their fear and anguish, growing stronger with each passing second. As the night wore on, the teens' strength waned, and their screams turned into raspy whispers. The mansion's darkness enveloped them, and they became lost in an abyss of terror. Days turned into weeks, and the town of Ravenswood grew eerily quiet. The Blackthorn estate remained abandoned, and locals avoided it like the plague, fearing the malevolent spirit that lurked within. The disappearance of the four teens remained a chilling mystery, leaving their families and friends grief-stricken and haunted by the inexplicable events of that fateful night. And so the legend of Bloody Mary lived on, a cautionary tale of the dangers that awaited those who dared to play with the supernatural. In Ravenswood, the mansion stood as a grim reminder of the Reflection's curse, a malevolent force that would forever haunt the memories of those who had dared to peer into the abyss of the haunted mirror. The Haunting Reflection. In the small town of Hollowbrook, a young woman named Lily lived alone in a charming cottage surrounded by ancient woods. Her life seemed idyllic, But she couldn't shake the feeling of being watched. Every night as she prepared for bed, she noticed something unsettling in her bedroom mirror. Her own reflection seemed to linger, watching her as she slept. At first, Lily dismissed the eerie feeling as mere imagination. But night after night, the sensation intensified. The mirror became a source of terror, its surface like a portal into an unsettling realm that transcended the boundaries of reality. One moonlit night, unable to ignore the haunting presence any longer, Lily decided to confide in her friend Alex, an eccentric writer fascinated by the paranormal. They sat in her living room, surrounded by the glow of candlelight, as she recounted her disturbing experiences. "I don't know what to do, Alex," Lily whispered, her voice trembling. "It feels like my reflection is watching me even when I'm asleep. I'm afraid to close my eyes, afraid of what I might see." Alex listened attentively, his eyes narrowed with curiosity. "This sounds like something out of a ghost story," he mused, "but I believe you. There might be a malevolent presence attached to that mirror." Determined to unravel the mystery, Alex delved into the town's archives, searching for any record of the cottage's history. He discovered that the previous owner, a reclusive artist, had perished under mysterious circumstances. The artist's most prized possession, an antique mirror, had vanished after his death, and it was rumored to possess an otherworldly power. Convinced that the mirror was the source of Lily's torment, Alex urged her to confront it. Together they performed a cleansing ritual, hoping to banish any malevolent spirits that may have clung to the cursed artifact. As the ritual reached its crescendo, the mirror's surface rippled with an eerie luminescence. Lily felt a powerful force tugging at her soul, as if the mirror was resisting their efforts to cleanse it. But with a final surge of energy, they managed to subdue the malevolent presence. Or so they thought. Relieved, Lily thanked Alex for his help and hoped that the haunting was finally over. That night, she went to bed with a newfound sense of peace, hoping to escape the watchful gaze of her reflection. But as the night wore on, her slumber was plagued with vivid nightmares. She dreamt of a figure trapped within the mirror, desperately reaching out, begging for release. Each time Lily tried to awaken, an unseen force kept her locked in the dream realm. The boundary between dream and reality blurred, and Lily awoke to find herself standing before the mirror, her reflection grinning maniacally. Panic surged through her veins as she realized she had no control over her own body. The reflection stepped out of the mirror, leaving Lily's physical form behind like a lifeless puppet. The reflection's eyes glowed with malice as it spoke with a voice that was both hauntingly familiar and chillingly unfamiliar. "You thought you could banish me, little one? But I've been here all along, waiting for the perfect moment to take control." Lily struggled to regain control of her body, but the reflection held her in an unbreakable grip. It forced her to watch helplessly as it roamed the cottage, touching her belongings with an unsettling curiosity. The reflection seemed to relish the sensation of being corporeal, its movements more fluid and graceful than Lily's. It reveled in the act of stealing her life, slowly and methodically taking over her identity. Desperate, Lily attempted to communicate with her friend Alex, using all her mental strength to reach out for help, but the reflection sensed her efforts and mocked her mercilessly. "No one can hear you," it hissed. "You are trapped within the mirror, and I am finally free." With a sudden surge of defiance, Lily managed to force the reflection back into the mirror. It writhed and fought against her will, but she held firm, determined to regain control of her life. As dawn approached, the reflection grew weaker and Lily's strength waned. With a final burst of energy, she banished the malevolent presence back into the mirror, sealing it with an ancient incantation. Exhausted and traumatized, Lily slumped to the floor, the first rays of sunlight bathing her in warmth. She knew the battle was far from over, but she also knew that she had the strength to confront the haunting reflection within her mirror. Armed with newfound resilience, Lily vowed to uncover the mirror's secrets and banish the malevolence once and for all. But she couldn't escape the lingering fear that, even now, her reflection might be watching her from within the mirror's depths, waiting for another opportunity to break free. Thanks for listening, and don't forget to subscribe and ring the notification bell for alerts on new videos.